Hello, I'm Philippe Sands. I'm the author of East-West Street and of The Rat Line. I've been asked to address the question, how might I reimagine victory after the Second World War? That's a tough question. I go back to that moment in 1945 and I focus in particular on a subject I care about passionately, the effort to do justice, the effort to bring criminals to justice before an international tribunal. That summer, 1945, delegates from the four Allied powers, America, Britain, France, the Soviet Union, came together and drafted something that would come to be known as the Statute for the International Military Tribunal at Nuremberg. And a trial began in November 1945, 75 or so years ago. That trial ended up with the convictions of 18 men, 10 of whom were sentenced to death. 3 men were acquitted. The crimes were crimes against humanity and genocide and war crimes and the crime of aggression. But for 50 years after that, nothing happened. And I've often asked myself the question, what if there'd been a real victory in the sense of a genuine cooperation? That didn't happen because by 1946-47, an Iron Curtain had descended across Europe and the Cold War had opened with a vengeance. And in the consequence of that situation, countries like Britain and the United States took the foot off the gas, so to speak, in terms of hunting and prosecuting criminals, and instead, as I describe in The Rat Line, began to recruit them. And in that way, the path of international justice was slowed down. What would have happened if there'd been genuine cooperation on international justice after 1945? Let me read from a passage from East-West Street. Lauterpacht and Lemkin were 2 young men in Lemberg. Their ideas have had global resonance, the legacies reaching far and wide. The concepts of genocide and crimes against humanity have developed side by side, a relationship that connects the individual and the group, and their work forms my daily life. 50 summers passed before the idea of an international criminal court became a reality. States pushed and pulled in different directions, unable to find a consensus on the punishment of individuals. Change finally came in July 1998. It was catalysed by the atrocities in the former Yugoslavia and in Rwanda. That summer, more than 150 states finally agreed to a statute for an international criminal court at a meeting held in Rome. I enjoyed a peripheral role in the negotiations. I worked on the preamble to that treaty. Those are the introductory words which are intended to inspire. Working in the shadows, we introduced a simple line into the preamble of the Rome Statute. It stated the duty of every country to exercise its criminal jurisdiction over those responsible for international crimes. Seemingly innocuous, the line survived the negotiating process to become the first occasion on which states had recognised any such general duty under international law. 3 generations after the ideas of an international court were debated by Henri Denis de Vabre and Hans Frank in Berlin in 1935, 50 years after the Nuremberg judgment, a new international court was finally created with the power to rule on genocide and crimes against humanity. Thank you so much for listening.